Okay, here we are looking at a pig heart, and I'm just going to show you some parts of this heart. First of all, let's look at the tissues. The heart is an organ which is made up of a bunch of different tissues. This sort of reddy brown stuff is muscle tissue. As you can see, most of the heart is made of muscle. This tissue up here is fat tissue. We also have some connective tissue. A little bit hard to see. But main tissue of the heart is muscle. Now, right in the front here is a big artery. This is the coronary artery. This brings blood to feed the heart muscle, and the heart muscle needs continuous supply of food and oxygen. So this is a very important artery. There's also a very nice example of a valve. You can see here, this valve, the atrium has been cut off, but on top of this valve should be an atrium, and then this valve will open and close while the heart is pumping. Remember, the valves are there to make sure the blood flows in the right direction. It doesn't flow backwards. And here's a side view of the valve. Inside here, we have the ventricle. So this is big, thick ventricle. Put my finger in here. And if they hadn't cut off the atrium would be on the top. So we have a ventricle down here. We also have a ventricle in this side. And separating the two sides of the heart is this thick wall right here. This wall is called the septum. There are no valves, no connections between the two sides of the heart. We want to keep the two sides of the heart separate because one side carries oxygenated blood, good blood that goes to the body. The other side contains deoxygenated blood, blood without oxygen that needs to be sent to the heart. We don't want the two bloods mixing because we don't want the old blood without oxygen going off to the body cells. Now, I don't know if you can see, this is the right ventricle. See how thick the muscle is there. This is the left ventricle, much thicker. The left ventricle has to pump the blood from to all parts of the body, to your top of your head, to your little toes. So it needs to be a very thick muscle. The right ventricle only has to pump the blood from the heart to the lungs. The lungs are right next to the heart, so it doesn't have to be as thick a muscle. Now this one, actually I think we'll go to another one. This one shows the atria. These little pieces up here. So that's one atrium and another atrium there. These atrium have, a little bit hard to see, but okay, so they actually have very thin muscles, not very thin walls. The reason for this is the atria just have to do a quick squeeze and pump the blood down to the ventricles beneath them. So atria, a little sacs up here. This also shows very nicely one of the blood vessels leading from the heart. We have one here, we have one there. So very big, a lot of blood will be leaving the heart during each squeeze, each contraction. Okay, as you can see, it doesn't have the classic heart shape that you see on Valentine's cards, and I'm not quite sure if this would be my symbol of love for anyone.